There was a bit of an upset in the news last week after a 22-year-old man called Freddie Bentley, who was described as a reality TV star and influencer, appeared upon British breakfast television. Now, the reality TV show he was in was called The Circles. Nope, me neither. And an influencer is someone with a large Instagram following but no discernible talent. But he appeared on breakfast television wearing foundation and eyeshadow, because that's the way the world is apparently going, to put forward his argument that high school children should not have to learn about World War II because it is damaging their mental health, and when he studied it as a teenager, he found it to be too intense. Now, I completely disagree with him on this. I think World War II is something that kids need to learn about because it was a very important chapter in human history. I studied it at high school, and more to the point, I lived through the Cold War at junior school. And although no shots were fired, where I grew up was a small village in East Anglia, just a few miles from an American Air Force base. Or more to the point, I grew up right next to the first thing the Russians would have nuked if it had kicked off. And if there's one thing that puts a dampener upon childhood, the constant threat of nuclear annihilation is it. But I still count myself as lucky, because although Freddie says, oh, learning about the Second World War is too intense, I imagine living through it or not living through it was much more intense. Learning about air raids is going to be nothing as to having your own fucking street bombed by the Luftwaffe. And something that's very bad for your mental and physical health is being cut to pieces with machine gun fire. Now, I'm going to do something now that I very rarely do, which is to be serious just for a moment. I think teenagers should learn about the Second World War because, first of all, know how many millions of people died to give us the basic freedoms which we take for granted. Also, in World War II, we saw how far people would go to both extremes, both good and evil. But most important, learn about it so that it doesn't happen again. Right now, all over the world, in Europe, the UK, the USA, there are countries which are divided. People who only see each other in difference, and it doesn't take much before someone who is influential says the problems we're having is caused by that other group of people. That's what Adolf Hitler did. And it's starting again now. That's my rant over. I'll now go back to being a twat. Because what Freddie suggests for alternative things that children could learn are Brexit, because yeah, obviously we can teach kids about Brexit. None of the fucking adults know what's going on with Brexit. The politicians, the people that are running the country don't know what's going on with Brexit. How are we meant to educate children on it? Then he says there could be more focus on climate change, because that's not in the fucking news either, is it? Youngsters aren't being stressed out about climate change. If they find it too intense to learn about a war that finished in the middle of the last century, then it's not going to be good to just bombard them with, you know, maybe there's going to be an extinction level event within the next 50 years. And the last thing that Freddie comes out with, he says, when he was at school, no one taught him how to get a mortgage. And I suspect he still hasn't got one. But I don't think kids need to learn that at school. I can explain how to get a mortgage. Go and see a mortgage advisor. Don't try and do it yourself. You'll fuck it up. So Freddie, please, you've had your 2 minutes of fame. Wipe your makeup off, get a job, fuck off, and don't come back.